I am the Contrarian, and this is my world.
Hi, I'm Balaji, and I'm here to take on Rajiv because I believe the time for M-governance is now.
Today we enter the realm in the world where almost everything that you think wasn't possible till today will happen, and it will happen all on your mobile phone. Imagine the entire government. You don't have to go to them, not to their offices, not those dusty files. None of those. All you have to do is have a mobile phone and utopia will come true on your mobile phone. Everything you want will happen. A document, a birth certificate, a marriage. It will all happen on your mobile phone. Now, that's supposed to be the romantic part of M-governance. That's supposed to be the dream that we've all been shown. The problem is we've been shown this dream for many years now, and not much has changed. I mean, do you remember the last time you had to go to a government office, actually speak to a clerk or a peon there? Has that changed? Not really, but the gentleman with me today says it's about to. So I'm going to give you about a minute to tell us why M-governance, why is it important in India, and why you think the time is now.
So let's start with the government itself. You've got a government that's been, elected on hope, one that's basically made the right vision statement. They say maximum governance, minimum government. They've already started to make some significant changes. Just look at the Jan Dhan Yojana. To get about 10 crore accounts, 100 million accounts in such a short time frame itself was revolutionary. So there's a government that means business. Okay, now let's come to the mobile itself. Now,
can I just stop you with that, entire idea? So what's the idea other than political planking when you even come up with so many different bank accounts? So everybody has 10 rupees in that account and may never operate it again. So other than fantastic statistics, unbelievable numbers, and a feel-good factor of, oh my God, so many bank accounts, what else did we achieve?
It is a start. I always say you need to make beginnings, and the beginnings have to be right, the direction has to be right, and everything else starts to change. Okay. And so from my point of view, when this government talks about JAM, right, it's about Jan Dhan, it talks about Aadhaar, it talks about mobile, is a confluence of these three things.
Oh, that's a new, I really actually thought of breakfast right now. Okay, so actually the acronym is JAM now?
Yeah, it is about, see, look at it.
Isn't that ironical? Because, it usually means you can't move forward, you're stuck, you're in the middle of a traffic jam, and that's the acronym we'll go with?
Now, frankly, just look at the individual elements.
Madge would have been better.
Oh, maybe. I'm saying rather than get stuck with the acronym itself. But the concept is, you're talking about mobile, which is kind of ubiquitous. You're talking about 950 odd million connections, even assuming that there is, to a certain extent, duplication of dual SIMs, which you're very familiar with. We can say that...
That's another show. I'll be calling you back for that one
sure.
too.
But we know that there's at least, on an average, 2.5 to 3 phones per household. That's an average. Now, obviously, it's not true throughout all households, but that's really what we're talking about. Look at Aadhaar, the enrollments of nearly 700 million. Now, these are very powerful tools. Suddenly, you've got digital identity. Suddenly, it's easier for you to access, information and for establishing identity. And there's government, both center and states that I've seen are starting to talk the language of saying, let's take our governance mobile. The lexicon has to change. The direction has to be set. Things start to happen from that point on.
So let's get this. So M-governance, I mean, the dream is that I'll pick up my mobile phone. I may have apps or a app for all M-governance. And every single thing that I require as a citizen. It's not only about documents. In theory, everything that I require as a citizen. Not only about getting documents and certificates, everything. I mean, if I have to report a pothole, if I have electricity not coming, if the Bijli Pani wala situation is not there, or the free Wi-Fi that we're supposed to now get in the future isn't free anymore and not getting access to it. All I need is a mobile phone. Literally nothing else would be required. Is that M-governance, or do you see it even more detailed than that?
So you start with governance, okay, then you mobilize it. Okay. I mean, think about mobiles. They first transformed the telecom sector, and then they started transforming industries. That's a global phenomenon, that's an India phenomenon. Take a car, connected cars, used to be talked about. You see them in reality now. 40% of everything that goes into cars these days is electronics, with a dash of connected to a network. So which means we're talking about mobile and networks and all of that put together. So the same thing is true in the case of governance too. Good governance is required, and then you start to use mobiles as a means to deliver it. But you start to deliver it in different ways. Because you've got ubiquity, suddenly brick and mortar is not the way that you're going to go to outreach. But outreach today is possible using mobile and its ubiquity. So you start to develop systems that have a mobile-first approach to it. And it's not necessary that everything's got to be apps. Think about the simplest of devices. Those do not support, they don't have the touch screens, they don't have the apps that you require. But then you have tools like USSD, which is your star hash kind of thing that you've used to. That's a habit that's got formed for hundreds of millions of people
on feature phones.
On feature phones already. Correct. So you could use simplicity of front end on mobile phones, whether it's USSD, whether it's IVR that people are used to, whether it's SMSs, and not necessarily always going to the web and trying to log in.
So you've spoken about the fact that this is not only for the app world, this is not for the app-tastic people, it's for everybody.
Sure.
But one of the things that has been seen, especially in countries like ours, is that it actually is an alienation. So if I don't get,
Sure.
M-governance is slightly more complicated than, just me finding out the price of paddy today.
Sure.
Okay? It's a little bit more complicated than downloading a piece of music.
Yes.
A little bit more complicated than buying something on e-commerce. There's a lot. It's a complex business at governance level. It's a complex business at the user level. And a lot of people say that the simplicity itself is going to be the problem.
Here's the thing. Therefore, the models that have to evolve need to take into account that complexity. So let me give you a very simple example. You might recall a few years back, the government talked about setting community centers. They were called CSCs or common service centers. They may have different names around it. But what was the concept? It was about saying that there's a gram panchayat. In each of those gram panchayats, you could have a community center, which is actually manned by a person who's digitally savvy. So it's about digital literacy and not necessarily only mobile as tools. Mobiles can, as a tool, give you what you need to a lot of applications. There'll be some that will still require you to go to a center like that, which is manned by someone whom you know from your own village, who can then on a PC, which is again connected potentially on a mobile network because it's got 3G and so on, with a printer and something else attached, give you the access to the information in a printed form that you might need in any case. So if you were to talk about printing a birth or a death certificate, for instance, you might need to still make that trip. But to a community center that's not manned by a government person, but someone who's authorized to have access to that information on your behalf. When we say that it's about a confluence of partnership, it's about people taking governance into their domain as much as saying it's the government, whether it's state or center, that's going to deliver. Therefore, I think the fact that we have local governance today, the fact that we have a robust panchayat system here is a good start, because what it said is government cannot just take care of everything, but governance means people's involvement, citizen involvement, civil society involvement, other people getting involved. To me, the concept of CSC is still relevant, because you're not talking about people that are not outsiders, but they're actually people from your community that have actually got an opportunity to create impact and also earn some money along the way.
In a country where today mobile networks are famous for not working, as in a drop call, or as you go into rural India, absolute dead zones. In a country where most people can't really afford a top-of-the-line phone even now, even though that is dramatically changing. And in a country where education, where actually handling all the complexity of doing something on a mobile phone, at what point right now is this only a start in a utopian dream? I mean, I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm asking you to be realistic.
We've got enough and more pilots. We've got some of them, get to some scale. But we should never trivialize the extent to which we're trying to, make up for, this whole digital inclusion piece of it. And so I'm saying, if you visualize India, 10 years from now, even 5 years from today, it'll be very different than where we are today. We wouldn't have had this conversation, even 10 years ago, where, you knew what the state of mobile networks was in India in 2003, 2004. It's been that spurt that's taken place. And plus the advances that have taken place in technology, also the supporting environment that's come in for players like civil society and NGOs to actually start to get their space in this, under the sun, and for influencing policies. And for, I would say, governments realize that this is real need that they deliver, and that you can win on development as a plank, and you deliver on it, then you are actually.
But do governments
sustainable.
realize? I mean, you may
believe so.
you may have a few examples of a few states, but to a lot of people, it means actually giving away a lot of power. So when you actually stop something and you control it with the way it's been controlled today, that is a form of governance.
A lot of people have already started the journey. Some will get it the hard way. I'm just saying that the journey has begun well, and I do believe that people will realize that what they're doing is actually creating value not for themselves, but for a larger cause, which is India and Bharat put together. So
Okay, great. As always, it's always a pleasure talking to you, and especially about M-governance, something I feel very strongly about. So thank you so much. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you, Rajiv.
And if you're watching out there and before the show started, M-governance was, oh my God, I can't go through that boring word again. If you've truly understood what it could mean for the country, what it could mean to people that have not had the opportunities that you have right now, this is a game changer. We're glad there is somebody out here that's championing the cause. We'll see you next week right here on The Contrarian.
I am the Contrarian, and this is my world.